Welcome to Learning Session 6, Using Blogs in the Classroom. At the end of this learning session, students should be able to create a blog post outlining how blogs can be used to teach 21st century learners, evaluate the use of blogs, and be able to explain how their use by teachers can facilitate using a constructivist approach to teach 21st century learners. And finally, using Bloom's digital taxonomy, explain how blogs can be used at each stage of Bloom's revised levels of learning. Blogs are useful tools because they encourage writers and responders to develop thinking, analytical, and communication skills. Advantages to using blogs are they are brief, publishing is instantaneous, creators can enhance blogs with visual elements, students become responsive to one another, and the writings and creations on a blog are forever. Blogs are ideal for integrating into classroom use for writing instruction. The reasons for this is they're similar to a personal journal, they're easy to write, and you can write across the curriculum. The public nature of the audience lends itself to authentic learning, and blogs may allow students to develop writing and thinking skills they couldn't achieve through traditional means. Weblogs or blogs have grown at an astronomical rate. In 1999, the estimated number of blogs was under 50. At the end of 2000, estimates ranged into the thousands. As of February 16, 2011, there were over 156 million public blogs in existence. These public blogs are impacting business, politics, and yes, education. Blogs have become such a powerful force that some people are even blogging for a living. Type educational blogger into a search engine and see what comes up. It is pretty amazing. So how can we use blogs most effectively in education, in teaching and learning? David Perkins, whose article The Many Faces of Constructivism we read earlier in the course, has written a book titled Making Learning Whole: How 7 Principles of Teaching Can Transform Education. In this book, he provides what he considers the earmarks of whole learning. They are, it's never just about content. Learners are trying to get better at doing something. It's never just routine. It requires thinking with what you know and pushing further. It's never just problem solving. It involves problem finding. It's not just about right answers. It involves explanation and justification. It's not emotionally flat. It involves curiosity, discovery, creativity, and camaraderie. It's not in a vacuum. It involves methods, purposes, and forms of one or more discipline or other areas situated in a social context. Let's take a look at how blogs could fit into this framework and provide a path to whole learning through the following Prezi. David Perkins of Harvard's Project Zero has written a book titled Making Learning Whole: How 7 Principles of Teaching Can Transform Education. In this book, he talks about the 2 afflictions that modern public education suffers from the most: elementitis and aboutitis. Elementitis is where teachers teach specific elements separated from the whole game. Aboutitis is where teachers teach about history rather than have students do history. Teach about science rather than have students do science. He makes the analogy between education and learning games, in his case, baseball. He makes a point that the most effective way to teach somebody is to expose them first to the whole game and then to work on certain parts according to his 7 fundamentals of education, which are play the whole game, make the game worth playing, work on the hard parts, play out of town, uncover the hidden game, learn from the team, and learn the game of learning. In explaining what whole learning might look like, Perkins provides 6 earmarks of playing the whole game that constitute a framework for whole learning. In this Prezi, I will discuss how blogs might be able to fit into this framework. Keep in mind that the points I make here are not definitive, as I am sure that teachers will be able to make more connections between blogs and whole learning. Let's move on with our Prezi and look at the first item. It's never just about content. Learners are trying to get better at something. As I look at the Common Core state standards for writing across all grade levels, it becomes evident that blogs have great potential for standards-based instruction. It is important to remember, however, that it is not just about content. Learners need to be trying to get better at doing something. If it's just about content, then we are still afflicted with elementitis, simply teaching elements without a connection to the whole game. How much sense would batting practice make if we didn't have a sense of what the whole game of baseball looks like? Using blogs for this element of the framework is a home run. Pun intended. It's never just routine. It requires thinking with what you know and pushing further. Blogs are a great tool to have students take a topic that means something to them and then to research to build on that knowledge. Students are expected to be able to draw evidence from literary or informational text to support analysis, reflection, and research. This comes from Writing Standard for 5th grade in the Common Core State Standards. Blogs are a great way to organize the student work conducted in this process, and also as a way for teachers to be able to monitor student progress to determine what students need help with the processes described in the content standard. It's never just problem solving. It involves problem finding. Good argument writing around discipline-specific content should involve problem finding as much as problem solving. Writing informational and explanatory texts, including narration of historical events, scientific procedures and experiments, or technical processes, would be an important blogger topic under this area. It's not just about right answers. It involves explanation and justification. Blogs are a great tool for students to develop claims and counterclaims, supplying data and evidence for each while pointing out the strengths and limitations of both claims and counterclaims. This comes from Writing in History Standard for grades 9 and 10. It's not emotionally flat. It involves curiosity, discovery, creativity, and camaraderie. Blogs have a lot of potential in the area of writing arguments focused on discipline-specific content. If students are given some voice in choosing these arguments, they can bring these elements of curiosity, discovery, and creativity into their blogging. Camaraderie can develop from the public nature of blogs as students comment on one another's writing. It's not in a vacuum. It involves the methods, purposes, and forms of one or more disciplines or other areas situated in a social context. Give students a voice and the opportunity to gather relevant information from multiple authoritative and digital sources. Writing in History Standards for 11th and 12th grade. The use of blogs will encourage them to assess the strengths and limitations of each source in terms of the task, purpose, and audience. Blogs give students a potential authentic external audience to which this becomes important. In conclusion, the use of blogs has great potential to make learning whole for students across grade levels and across the curriculum.